When I was 19, I just graduated high school. I was in a lucky group of friends who had a friend who worked at the DMV. It's like straight out of the part of The Simpsons where Bart works at the DMV and he makes fake IDs for his friends. But I had a fake ID so I could go to concerts. I had a really, really good fake ID. It was an actual driver's license that said that I'm older than I was. And so I was 19, but I was also 25. And I used it to go to all these 21 plus shows in San Francisco because I didn't drink in high school. I didn't drink until after I graduated. The first drink I ever had was when I went to Europe, and I was legally allowed to drink when I was senior backpacking trip, and I was 18, and so I had some drinks over there, and I started drinking a little bit when I got back. But my fake ID wasn't for buying beer or drinking; it was so I could go to concerts in San Francisco. So that's the backstory for why I had this really great fake ID. The year after I graduated high school, there was this woman that I had a crush on, a big crush during high school. She went to my school, but she was a year older than me, and she'd graduated, and then she'd gone off to Princeton. And she came back for her second summer after graduation. She still wasn't 21 either, but she was a year older than me. And I asked her on a date. What I wasn't brave enough to do in high school, I finally did when we got back for a vacation. So I said, Jonna, and that's her real name, so she's listening. I hope you're over this. I have tickets to the Roots concert at the Fillmore. The Fillmore is the venue that I went to all of my favorite shows at growing up. And it was my favorite spot to see a concert. I loved and still love the Roots, although this memory, I always think about it when I listen to the Roots because we went to go see this show, and I had my fake ID, so I didn't get the X's written on my hands. But Jonna did because she wasn't 21 yet, even though I was older than her. And Jonna said, hey, can you buy me a beer? So I bought Jonna a beer because I was the one who didn't have the X's on my hands because I'd gotten in on my fake ID. And she got caught. She got caught with a beer by security staff. And at this point, I think the Roots were like 2 songs deep or something. And she got caught by security for having a beer, and she got kicked out of the show. And I got kicked out of the show for providing alcohol to a minor, even though the irony was that I was not only a minor, I was younger than Jonna, but I didn't have the X's on my hands, so that was what I got kicked out for. So we didn't get in any trouble other than that at that point, other than getting kicked out of the Fillmore, but the night was young. It was still like 8:15, 8:30 at night, and I was so anxious for this date to go well. I didn't want to just say, oh, that sucks, the concert's over, let's call it a night. I said, you know what? If you're interested in drinking alcohol, I know where there's some alcohol. And I had been aware that at my parents' house in the garage, there was a staircase and a little creepy secret door. And in that secret door, there was this cellar that I had just opened this door at one point because I was curious where this like secret creepy dungeon led. And I'd found these bottles of champagne that were covered in cobwebs, and the labels had all fallen off of them. They were really, really old looking, but I thought, oh, you know what? Champagne is supposed to be old, right? Like alcohol gets better with age. So I'll go and we'll grab these champagne bottles and we'll have a drink. And this is just a series of bad decisions, basically. So we go back to my place. I was driving this station wagon that I'd inherited from my mom, this Volvo station wagon. We drive back to my place. We pick up like 1 or 2 bottles of this champagne, pull them out with the cobwebs attached to them, and then we didn't have a place to go. We were, there was the parents' place is the only place you have at that point. We were still either just out of high school or in college, and so we said, oh, let's go to Baker Beach, or we'll go to the Presidio, where in San Francisco, there's basically a park there, right next to the ocean. And I did not have a game plan for this. Kids, don't drink and drive. Don't do this. We went and pulled up by the beach and busted out this champagne bottle, and I had drank so little alcohol that when I took a swig of this, I thought, this is what alcohol is supposed to taste like. But it had been expired. It was probably the champagne from like the 70s, and had been expired since the 80s. And it tasted so bad, but I had a few sips of it, and we weren't chugging it or anything, but we were posted up next to the ocean, and then had a few sips of this disgustingly gross champagne, and then I think we got back into the car. I'm trying to remember the chronology events, but basically, at some point, we drank the champagne, we're by the beach, and then flashing police lights. The police pull up, and I get really scared, and my first impulse is, let me turn the ignition to this car on. So I turned the key, and I didn't drive anywhere, but I had turned the car on. And what that meant was that the police informed me as they came up and tapped on my window and realized that I had this bottle of alcohol, was that with the ignition running, that means that I'm DWI, should they breathalyze me and decide that I've had a drink. Because if you're under 21, it's not the whatever 0.08, whatever the tolerance level is, it's zero tolerance. If you have any alcohol whatsoever, one sip on your breath, and you're under 21 and you're caught driving, that's a DUI. So I am informed of that fact, and I'm given two options. I can either go with them and be arrested, or we can call my mom, and my mom can come pick us up. So I choose that. I have to call my mom and tell her what's happened, that we're there with the police, and that she needs to come pick us up. We leave the Volvo parked where it is. My mom comes and grabs us, and the police explain to her what happened. And then she needs to drive me and Jonna home. So we take Jonna and drive her to her place, and we're in the back seat. It's just a silent car ride. I think she lives like 20 minutes away from there or something. And it's so painfully awkward. My mom's not talking because she's so angry with me. Jonna's not talking because she's so embarrassed. I can't get a word out. Finally, we drop Jonna off at her place, and my thought process at that point is, oh my God, this is so embarrassing, but I can't let this humiliation defeat me. I walk Jonna to her door, and I think, maybe she finds this funny. I should just try to kiss her at the end of the night so that, she knows that I'm interested and that I have a crush on her. And she turned her cheek to me. She was not interested in a goodnight kiss, so the goodnight kiss did not happen. I awkwardly brushed it off, as you do in those moments. Thanked her for her time. She went home. I haven't talked to her since then. I ran into her at a bar a year or two after that, and wanted to laugh about the experience and say, oh my God, remember that Roots concert we got kicked out of, and then the police came, blah, blah, blah. But she didn't think it was funny. So I haven't gotten a chance to laugh about this with her, but I was mortifyingly embarrassed. And now when I hear the Roots or see them playing on Fallon, it hasn't ruined their music for me. It could never ruin their music for me. I love the Roots, but I do think about this moment. It definitely colors my memory of their concert. And yeah, this is basically just a long don't drink and drive PSA for you kids. It's just not worth it, and you could end up humiliating yourself too. So anyway, shout out to the Roots. They're awesome. Shout out to Jonna. I hope I didn't traumatize you too much. I'm sorry, Mom. That is my ruined music story.